Warrington when I thought, I don't know that I want to go to any more matches. But, Dad kept buying the tickets, so...
Fair enough. Fair enough. And obviously, outside of the actual performances on the field themselves, Joshua's day as the media manager on the Junior Fan Takeover, I assume that was one of the highlights of the 2018 year.
Yeah, in a sense, it made me fall in love with the club again, because regardless of what they were doing on the pitch, off the pitch, I could not fault one person associated with the club. They were amazing with him. And, not just our club, actually. Steve McNamara had time to chat to him, and, Joshua told him not to get too comfortable with the trophy because we were having it back. And everyone was prepared to have a chat, which was really, really nice.
So, sprinkled in a miserable end to the season was one of the brightest moments of the year. So that's a really nice way to finish our look back, I think, on 2018, Sarah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, joining us to talk about the off-season's goings-on at Hull FC, we've got journalist Paul Clarke from the local paper. So how are you doing, Paul? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, not bad. Good to be here. Thanks, Mark.
So, first of all, just to list off the outs and ins at Hull FC in this off-season, there's not too many big names to talk about. Jack Downs, Ross Osborne, Jordan Abdul and Janzin Turgut are the main people who've left. And then coming in, it's Matty Dawson-Jones, Jordan Thompson, Levi Nzungu, Danny Langtree, and then a couple of unknowns, Andrew Bullman and Charlie Graham, who haven't been given squad numbers, so I can't believe much is expected of them. Not much squad turnover then, Paul, and no big-name recruits, so... Do you think there's a worry for fans with that after an 8th place finish last time, or do you know what the reason is for no big recruits?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a worry amongst some fans. I think obviously, naturally, when you finish the season with an 11-game losing streak, and then you don't, obviously bring in any big name signings that are guaranteed to be in the 17 every single week. There's a little bit of a worry there, but obviously that kind of doesn't really take into account what actually happened last season. And obviously one of the main things that happened last season was an injury crisis that obviously a lot of clubs had really tough time with injuries, but Hull in particular really kind of obviously it hit them hard, especially in key areas.
Yeah.
Mark Sneedham and Albert Kelly barely played together at all last season. They were really good combining together in the 2017 campaign, their first year together. But now after the amount of times not played together, they've actually all played more games without them combining than they have with them combining. So that kind of shows where Hull were last year, really, without them, and they've got a significantly lower, win ratio without them than when they are in the house together. So that's just one area, I think. And what Hull, rightly or wrongly, Hull are making a statement by basically saying they're confident in their first team, their best 17 when it's available, and they believe that'll push them onto the top 5. I'm not completely sure about that. I think they maybe could have done with bringing in maybe one player who was definitely going to be in that 17 if everyone's fit. But at the same time, they've brought back Jordan Thompson, who could really do well with this new interchange rule. And obviously, your forwards have got to be fitter and things like that. And he can play multiple positions in the forwards, and he could really benefit from having him back. And some really unknown kind of left field signings as well might just push other players. And one of the key things as well is due to the injuries last year, players such as Jack Logan, played double figures amount of games, and you players such as him wasn't quite up to it. Whereas bringing in someone like Matthew Dawson-Jones, the next in line, those players are a little bit better, and they've thickened out the squad, so they've done that. Whether it'll be enough to make the playoffs is another question.
Yeah, so you sort of touched on some of the reason for no big name recruits is they think they've already got some big name players, and there was a few international players, and crucially those halfbacks. I think that's one of the questions that's kind of sat around at Hull FC this off season. So I don't know if you've got any insight on what Lee Radford's planning to do with the halves next year. Will Jake Connor get his chance to cement a place, or will the squad numbers 6 and 7 incumbents get their first crack at it, do you think?
At the moment, I've spoken with him. We've done a story on our website, and it's been in the paper in the last week or so, actually. And at the moment, it's there for the taking. You perform well in pre-season training. You perform well in the pre-season games. Obviously, there's only 3 for Hull, and you get a spot. There's every chance Jake Connor can oust one of those players and play alongside either Kelly or Sneed and but at the same time, I do feel like it would be Mark Sean and Albert Kelly first, and Jake Connor as an option as well, particularly because Josh Griffin isn't guaranteed to actually be ready for the start of the season, so that almost might make Lee Radford's decision for him, and he might have to start Jake Connor in round one in the centres, therefore giving Kelly and Snead a chance to combine again. And just because they actually performed so well together in 2017, it would be probably a good idea to at least try that first before maybe potentially bringing in Jake later on in the season. I do think Jake's going to be a starter whatever happens. It's just where I think at the beginning of the season I won't be surprised if he's starting in the centres, and we'll see what happens from there.
So Radford sort of, I read your piece, he sort of sees him maybe long term as being in the halves, but I suppose needs must, and you just want to get him on the field, I guess, is the way to go with him. What about the reserves? Because that's been in the news a lot. You've had a piece, as we're talking today on the Thursday, you had a piece on the website today, didn't you, about who might star in the reserves this year, and Hull are one of the few teams, one of the pair of teams now still committed to reserves. So what do you understand about what's been going on there, the context around the reserves going from potentially a 9-team league to no league at all, and why are Hull so keen to go on with the reserves?
I think first and foremost they see it as the kind of the best way to bed the players, obviously post 19. They didn't have a lot of success with Doncaster. I think they hoped that Doncaster would get promotion and end promotion to the Championship, and therefore their dual-reg partnership would actually have even more value for them, and so that didn't obviously transpire last season. But so I think they kind of still see the reserves as a good opportunity to bed those players. I think it's one of those where I think they've had assurances that it was going to be a formalised league, and it sounds like that hasn't quite come to fruition, obviously, with even Wigan pulling out, and so it'll probably be 6 teams now. But I do think there's going to be some sort of league situation where it's better than it was in 2016 and 2017, and obviously Hull pulled out after 2017 due to the cancellations more than anything. So it'll be mostly
Hull with the sort of Championship sides then?
Yeah, and Wakefield as well.
Yeah.
So that's not a fantastic situation, but I would be very surprised if some of the Super League clubs didn't play other Super League clubs in one-off games. I think Hull are seeking out, kind of assurances that they can maybe, face like a Wigan reserves or a St Helens reserves down the line. I think whatever the fixture list is for next year, I think it'll be more extensive than just the league of 6 teams. Say, I think there'll probably be, at least double figures, maybe 15 games, something like that. I think it'll be quite an extensive list, so it will be a handful of games. I think it'll still be a strong list of fixtures, hence the reason why Hull want to kind of obviously put this forward. And it gives them a jump ahead of other teams as well, ahead of 2020, when I think we're all hoping it becomes mandatory for all top tier clubs.
Yeah, that's some really good insight there, that we should hope, and something positive, I suppose, that we should hope that there is some sort of structure in place beyond just a few games where Hull and Wakefield will be playing each other week in, week out, which is...
I'm not saying that would be beneficial for anyone really, yeah, it was just going to
No, so it's pretty quiet, isn't it? If the main talking point is the reserves, in terms of what's going on at Hull, are there any rumours of any further recruitment, or is that it? Is the squad finalised for certain?
I would say, yeah. I think at this stage, I don't think there's any. There's not really anything knocking about. I think we had the old a couple of months ago. We had the old Jackson Hastings for Albert Kelly swap that I think the League Weekly threw out there, but apart from that, there's not really been any kind of whispers or anything like that. And to be honest, I don't expect any kind of movement of players going out. I think obviously only Adam Pearson came out swinging after the Warrington defeat in the Super 8 and said potential of players leaving. I don't think there's ever any situation where that was going to happen. I think it was more of a gut reaction from a passionate owner. But they have brought players in, and that was one of the things that he said that the club was going to do. So maybe not the quality of players that some Hull fans would have wanted, but first and foremost, you need to think of the squad, and they've done that. I think the big thing for Hull, and what they'll be planning now, is just 2020, when quite a lot, I think 17 players are off contract at the end of 2019. Quite a lot of those young players, don't get me wrong, but there'll be some big players in Mame, Cello, Sikamanu, who probably, I can't envision them still being at the club in 2020. That'll need replacing, and I think Hull are already eyeing what they can do in 2020, and are confident with where they're at. Rightly or wrongly, they're confident with where they're at for 2019, and they'll be thinking long-term improvement as well.
I'm sure the rumours will start circulating then. So where can people find those sorts of updates? Hopefully no updates on any more players getting injured during the pre-season camp, but any rumours and anything like that. Where can people read your pieces on what's going on at Hull FC?
Yeah, they can read out the Hull Live website. It's Hull Daily Mail still. We're in a brand reforming process, which still has Hull Daily Mail URL, but they are called Hull Live online. And then you can catch me on Twitter as well. Obviously, Paul Clarke, just searching the toolbar. There probably will no doubt be some injury updates in the nature of rugby league, but maybe not as many as last season. That would be good for everyone concerned.
Let's hope not, Paul. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Thanks for taking us through what's been going on anyway this off-season with Hull FC.
Thanks, Matt.
So Sarah's back now to look ahead towards 2019 and sort of take an early view on where we think Hull FC are going to go in 2019. We know that Gary Schofield in the League Express thinks that Hull FC are going to finish in the bottom four and have a very difficult year. So let's see if we kind of think the same. I've got a few questions for you, Sarah, that I want your answers on to shape this kind of discussion. So The first question is, and one of the big doubts I have for Hull next year really is, has the recruitment done enough to address the squad depth issues that you had last year?
No.
There's a very clear, short answer. You've brought back Jordan Thompson. Do you expect any of the other signings to make a serious impact on the first team? Which of those signings, Dawson, Jones, Thompson and Zungu or Langtree, do you expect to have an impact on the first team next year?
Realistically, well, I just don't know. I don't know enough about Langtree and Nzongu to know whether they have the ability. I think because Langtree's a second rower, isn't he? I imagine he'll get some game time because our second rows are all middle-aged and injury-prone. So I think he'll probably get some game time.
So you think Langtree might make an impact? Certainly the local paper has started to pick up a few human interest stories around him, haven't they, to kind of round out who he is, to give you guys a little bit of more of a feeling about, rooting for the bloke, someone in the mid to late 20s who's having his first crack at Super League. So potentially, he's got a possibility, I suppose, of making some sort of impact. Where do you think you're going to be able to bounce back to be a playoff team again then next year in 2019, or do you think maybe you've lost some ground on the other big clubs over this off season?
I don't think we'll finish in the playoffs, no. I think we have made too many sentimental re-signings and therefore not left any cap space for actually replacing Gareth Ellis or Liam Watts.
Yeah, so the holes basically that were in the squad last year haven't been addressed is sort of what you feel, isn't it?
In one sense, the hole that was there at the start of the year has just been made bigger by losing Watts during the season.
Yeah, and you'll be starting the season still without Green and Bowden, is that right?
From what the physio said, Bowden will definitely be out at the start of the season. I'm not sure. I think they're hoping that Green might be back. But then it's
going to be a challenge, isn't it, for the young forwards again to start the season? Your Bionics, your Massi Matongos and players like that, and Fash.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, and it depends, how Nzongu comes over.
But at least as Joshua told Steve McNamara, you're going to have the cutback, so that's one positive to look forward to.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that.
So I've got one last question for you, Sarah.
Okay.
How will Rovers do in 2019?
Hopefully worse than us. They've made some decent signings.
I can sense a hint of worry. Do you think it's going to be a close race then for who's the top dog in Hull next year?
Yeah, I think we'll finish consecutive